You know what nobody tells you about a dead bedroom marriage? It's not the lack of sex that kills you. It's sleeping next to someone who treats you like you don't exist. There's this particular kind of loneliness that comes from lying next to someone who's forgotten you're even there. It's not the sharp, clean pain of losing someone to death or distance. It's something that eats at you day by day, so slow you don't notice it happening until boom. You wake up one morning and realize you've become a ghost in your own house. My name is Garrett Sullivan, and I'm 57 years old. I'm a working man, always have been. For the past 16 years, I've been married to a woman named Diane. We lived, in a 3-bedroom ranch house in Akron, Ohio, a home I bought 6 months before our wedding with money I'd saved running my electrical business. Those early dreams of a happy marriage never quite turned out the way we'd planned. I own Sullivan Electric Services, been running it for 25 years now. Started when I was 32 with nothing but a truck, some tools, and the willingness to work my tail off. It's honest work, blue-collar work, the kind of job that lets me provide a decent life for my family without having to kiss anybody's behind. I've always believed a man should take care of his responsibilities, be present for his wife, and earn his keep through hard work. But here's the thing about marriage. Presence means nothing if the person you're present for refuses to see you. Look, I'm going to tell you something about intimacy problems in marriage. They don't just happen overnight like a light switch getting flipped. Like everything else, they creep in gradually, a slow withdrawal that I initially chalked up to stress from Diane's part-time job at the doctor's office and life's general pressures. When Diane began turning away from me in bed, I told myself she needed time to work through whatever was eating at her. When weeks turned into months, I convinced myself that patience was the answer, that she would come back to me when she was ready. But weeks became months, and months became years, and eventually I stopped reaching for her altogether because the rejection had become too painful to handle. This dead bedroom marriage was killing something inside me, day by day, like a slow leak in a pipe you don't notice until the whole ceiling comes crashing down. Here's what working men like me understand. You don't give up easy. 2 months ago, I decided to make one final attempt to save what we had. I sat Diane down at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared thousands of meals over the years, and I laid it all out there. I spoke from the heart, telling her about my loneliness, my frustration, my desperate need to feel connected to the woman I married. I didn't accuse or blame. I simply asked her to help me understand what had changed and what we could do to find our way back to each other. Her response? A masterpiece of deflection. She was tired. She was stressed about her job. She didn't feel attractive anymore. She needed more time. There was always an excuse, always a reason why intimacy was impossible, always a promise that things would get better soon. But soon never came, and I began to realize that it never would. For 2 whole months, I waited. I waited for her to reach for me in the night, to look at me with something other than indifference, to give me any sign that she still wanted me as her husband. I brought her flowers from the grocery store. I planned nice dinners at home after long days running wire through commercial buildings. I suggested weekend trips up to Lake Erie, couples counseling, anything that might bridge this gap that had opened between us. Each suggestion got met with the same response. Not now, maybe later. I'm just not in the mood. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening in early September. I had come home from a brutal day rewiring an old factory building downtown to find Diane on the couch, scrolling through her phone with that blank expression that had become her default state. My back was aching, my hands were dirty from pulling cable all day, and all I wanted was some connection with my wife. I sat down beside her, placed my hand on her knee, and asked if we could talk. She didn't even look up from her screen. About what? About us, I said. About our marriage. About the fact that we haven't been intimate in over 2 months and you don't seem to give a damn. She sighed, the sound heavy with that exasperation I'd come to know so well. Not this again, Garrett. I told you I've just been tired. Work has been busy. Can't you just be patient? I have been patient, I replied, fighting to keep my voice steady. I've been patient for years. But patience without progress is just waiting around to be disappointed, and I'm tired of being disappointed. She finally looked up, her eyes meeting mine for the first time in what felt like days. What do you want me to do? Force myself to be intimate with you when I'm not in the mood? Would that make you happy? That question hit me like a punch to the gut. No, I said quietly. That's not what I want at all. I want you to want me, Diane. I want you to look at me the way you used to, like I was someone worth wanting. I want to feel like your husband, not your roommate who pays all the bills." She rolled her eyes, actually rolled her eyes at me as if my feelings were some kind of inconvenience she didn't have time for. "You're being dramatic, Garrett. Plenty of couples go through dry spells. It doesn't mean anything." 2 months isn't a dry spell, I said, feeling something snap inside me. 2 months is a pattern, and it's not just about the physical stuff. When was the last time we had a real conversation? When was the last time you asked about my day or told me something meaningful about yours? When was the last time we laughed together? She stared at me for a long moment, and I watched something shift behind her eyes. Not remorse, not understanding, but something harder, more defensive. "I don't have the energy for this right now," she said, turning back to her phone. "We can talk about it later." But we both knew we wouldn't talk about it later. We never talked about it later. The conversation would get forgotten, swept under the rug along with all the other conversations we had avoided, until the next time I gathered enough courage to bring it up again. That night, lying awake in the darkness while Diane slept like a baby beside me, I made a decision. I couldn't force her to love me. I couldn't force her to want me, but I could choose to stop accepting a life that made me feel invisible. I could choose myself for once, even if that choice meant walking away from everything I had built. The next morning I called Victoria Lang, a real estate agent I'd done some electrical work for a few years back when she was renovating her office. "Let me tell you something about selling a house without your spouse knowing. It's not easy, but it's not impossible either. In Ohio, I learned that a house purchased before marriage and kept solely in one spouse's name could be sold without the other's consent. Our ranch home fell into this category perfectly. I had purchased it 6 months before our wedding using money I'd saved from my electrical contracting business, and Diane's name had never been added to the deed. It was a technicality, one that I had never thought twice about during the good years of our marriage. But now that technicality became my lifeline, my way out of a situation that had become unbearable. Victoria was a sharp woman in her 50s who understood the situation without requiring a lot of explanation. I met her at a coffee shop across town, far from anywhere Diane might accidentally run into us, and laid out my situation in broad strokes. I told her I was going through a rough patch in my marriage and needed to explore my options. I told her I wanted to know what the house was worth and how quickly it could be sold if I decided to pull the trigger. "Based on the current market conditions in your neighborhood," she said, reviewing her notes, "I'd estimate your property is worth somewhere around $235,000, possibly more if we stage it right and time the listing perfectly. The Akron market is moving pretty well right now. Properties like yours are selling within 3 to 4 weeks. $235,000. The number felt surreal, hard to connect with the physical reality of the house I had called home for over 16 years. But it represented something more than money. It represented freedom. The freedom to start over, to build a new life without the constant weight of rejection and loneliness pressing down on my shoulders every single day. "What would the process look like if I wanted to move forward?" I asked. Victoria outlined the steps: official appraisal, any necessary repairs or improvements, professional staging, photography, listing. She estimated we could have the house on the market within 3 weeks if I was motivated to move quickly. "There's one more thing," I said, hesitating. "My wife doesn't know I'm doing this. I'm not trying to hide it from her permanently, but I need to handle the timing carefully. Is there a way to keep this quiet until I'm ready to tell her?" Victoria regarded me with that knowing look I'd seen before in the eyes of people who'd been in the real estate business long enough to see every kind of family situation. "I can be discreet," she said, "but eventually she's going to find out. Open houses, showings, people coming in and out. It's not something you can hide forever." "I know," I said. "I just need a little time to get my ducks in a row. Once the listing goes live, I'll tell her everything." She nodded slowly. "All right, Mr. Sullivan, let's get started." Over the next 3 weeks, I lived what felt like a double life. During the day, I ran my electrical business as usual, pulling permits for commercial jobs, supervising my crew on a big rewiring project at a local manufacturing plant, meeting with contractors about upcoming residential work. The routine kept me grounded, kept my hands busy while my mind worked through what I was about to do. In the evenings, I came home to Diane and maintained the fiction of normalcy. We ate dinner together in silence, watched television in separate corners of the living room, slept in the same bed while feeling like we were living on different planets. But in the stolen moments between work and home, I was preparing for my departure. I met with Victoria several more times, reviewing paperwork and making decisions about the sale. I consulted with a lawyer to make sure I was on solid legal ground. The last thing I needed was Diane trying to tie me up in court over property that was legally mine. I began quietly sorting through my possessions, separating the things that were mine from the things that belonged to both of us. It was exhausting, maintaining this double life, but every time I looked at Diane, at her indifferent expression, her dismissive sighs, her absolute lack of interest in the man she had promised to love and cherish, I knew that I had no choice. This marriage was over. It had been over for years. I was simply the last one willing to admit it. The day the house was officially listed, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't relief exactly, but something close to it. A sense that the wheels were finally in motion, that all this interminable waiting was coming to an end. For better or worse, my life was about to change in a big way. I chose a Saturday morning to tell Diane. It seemed appropriate somehow, a day when neither of us had work obligations, when there would be time for the conversation to unfold without the pressure of schedules and deadlines breathing down our necks. I woke up early that morning, made a pot of coffee, and sat at the kitchen table watching the sunrise paint the walls in shades of gold. Diane came downstairs around 9 o'clock, her hair messy from sleep, her eyes still heavy. She poured herself a cup of coffee without acknowledging my presence, then sat down across from me and immediately started scrolling through her phone. "We need to talk," I said. She didn't look up from her screen. "About what?" "About the house. About us. About what happens next." Something in my tone must have caught her attention because she finally set down her phone and looked at me directly. "What do you mean what happens next?" I took a deep breath, knowing there was no going back after this. "I've listed the house for sale." The words hung in the air between us like a loaded gun. I watched Diane's face cycle through a rapid series of emotions, confusion, disbelief, anger, before settling on something that looked almost like amusement. "Very funny," she said, picking up her phone again. "You almost had me for a second there." "I'm not joking, Diane. The house is on the market. We already have showings scheduled for this week." The amusement vanished from her face, replaced by dawning horror. "You can't be serious. You can't sell the house without my consent. I'm your wife." "The house is in my name only," I said as calmly as I could manage. "I bought it before we were married. Legally, I don't need your consent." She stared at me like I had suddenly grown a second head. "But this is our home. We've lived here for 16 years. All our memories are here. You can't just—" "Our memories?" I interrupted, feeling years of suppressed anger finally bubbling to the surface. "What memories are we talking about, Diane? The memory of you turning away from me night after night. The memory of eating dinner in dead silence because we've run out of things to say to each other. The memory of me feeling like a stranger in my own house." Her face went pale. "Garrett, if this is about the intimacy thing—" "It's not just about intimacy," I said, cutting her off. "It's about connection. It's about feeling valued and wanted and seen by your own wife. I've spent years trying to reach you, trying to understand what happened to us, trying to find some way to fix what's broken between us. And you've spent those same years pushing me away, dismissing my concerns, making me feel like some kind of burden for wanting a real marriage." "That's not fair," she protested, her voice rising for the first time. "I've been going through stuff." "You have no idea what I've been dealing with." "Because you won't tell me," I exploded, my composure finally cracking completely. "I've asked you 1,000 times what's wrong, what I can do to help, how we can work through whatever this is together, and every single time you shut me out. How am I supposed to support you through something you refuse to share with me?" She opened her mouth to respond, but I held up my hand to stop her. "It doesn't matter anymore, Diane. I've made my decision. Once this house sells, I'm leaving. I've already rented an apartment across town. I'll stay there until the sale goes through and then figure out my next steps." "You're leaving?" She said the words like they were in a foreign language she couldn't quite understand. "You're actually leaving me?" "I'm removing myself from a situation that's been slowly killing me for years. Whether you want to call that leaving you is entirely up to you." Diane sat in stunned silence for what felt like forever. Then slowly her expression hardened into something I barely recognized. "You're doing this to punish me because I haven't been giving you enough sex. You're willing to blow up our entire life over this." I shook my head sadly. "You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about punishment, and it's not just about sex. It's about the fact that I've been dying inside for years and you haven't even noticed. Or worse, maybe you noticed and just didn't care. Either way, I can't live like this anymore." "So what?" she said, her voice getting shrill. "You're just going to throw away 16 years of marriage? Everything we've built together?" "What have we built, Diane?" I asked. "A beautiful house that feels like a prison, a marriage that exists only on paper. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm finally admitting that there's nothing left to save." She burst into tears then, ugly heaving sobs that shook her entire body. Part of me wanted to go to her, to comfort her the way I had done so many times over the years, but I stayed right where I was. Something inside me had hardened with each passing moment of this conversation. "Please," she gasped between sobs. "Please don't do this. I'll change. I'll be better. I'll try harder. Just give me another chance." "You've made those promises before," I said quietly. "And nothing ever changes. I'm sorry, Diane. I truly am. But I can't keep waiting around for a future that's never going to come." The days following my announcement were some of the most difficult of my life. Diane cycled wildly between rage and despair, sometimes within the span of a single conversation. She accused me of being selfish, of abandoning her when she needed me most, of never truly loving her in the first place. She threatened to fight the sale legally, to make my life a living hell, to tell everyone we knew what a monster I was. Then she would collapse into tears, begging me to reconsider, promising that things would be different if I would just give her one more chance. I listened to all of it, the accusations, the threats, the promises, and felt strangely detached, like I was watching the whole scene unfold from a great distance. Maybe I had already done my grieving in private during all those sleepless nights when I lay awake wondering where my marriage had gone wrong. Maybe I had simply run out of emotional energy to invest in a relationship that had already taken so much from me. The house sold faster than even Victoria had predicted. A young couple with 2 little kids fell in love with the layout and the big backyard where their boys could play safely. The husband was a mechanic, a working man like me who understood the value of a solid house in a good neighborhood. Within 30 days, I was sitting in a title office signing papers and walking away with a check for $235,000. Minus commissions and closing costs. I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment on the south side of Akron, a clean, modern place in a converted brick building that smelled of fresh paint and new possibilities. That first night alone, I sat on my second-hand couch and stared at the blank walls of my new living room. The silence was different here, not the oppressive silence of a dead bedroom marriage, but something cleaner, more neutral. It was the silence of possibility, of a future that hadn't been written yet. Over the next few weeks, I settled into a new routine that felt surprisingly natural. I kept running Sullivan Electric Services, grateful for the familiar rhythm of work and the steady income it provided. My crew, good blue-collar guys who'd been with me for years, didn't ask too many questions when I mentioned the divorce, but I could see the sympathy in their eyes. Working men understand these things without needing a lot of explanation. I reconnected with my brother Colton, who lived about an hour away in Cleveland, and started making the drive to visit him and his family on weekends. Colton and his wife Brielle had 2 kids, Owen and Maya, who were 10 years old and full of energy. Being around family again, around people who actually seemed happy to see me, reminded me of what normal relationships were supposed to feel like. I joined a bowling league at Sunset Lanes, something I'd always wanted to do but never had time for during my marriage. Thursday nights became sacred. Just me and a bunch of other guys my age, most of them divorced or widowed, rolling balls down wooden lanes and talking about everything except our problems. And slowly, carefully, I began to remember who I was before I became Diane's husband. I was Garrett Sullivan, a skilled electrician who took pride in his work. I was a man who liked fishing on Lake Erie when I could find the time, watching the Browns play on Sundays and having a couple of beers with the guys after a long week. Somewhere along the way, those parts of myself had been set aside in favor of the more immediate demands of a marriage that was slowly suffocating the life out of me. It was at a Browns game watch party at the bowling alley that I met Sofia Rodriguez. She was there with her brother Miguel, a contractor I'd worked with on a few commercial jobs over the years. Sofia was a graphic designer who had recently relocated from Boston to be closer to family after her own divorce. She was 48, had warm brown eyes that actually looked at you when she talked, and when she smiled, you could tell she meant it. We started talking during halftime, and before I knew it, the game was over, and we were still deep in conversation about everything from work to travel to our shared love of good Mexican food. She was easy to talk to in a way that felt almost foreign after years of walking on eggshells around Diane, watching every word to avoid setting off another round of silent treatment. "You're different from most of the guys I meet around here," she said as we stood outside the bowling alley, the November air crisp against our faces. "Most men our age are carrying around so much baggage from their divorces they can barely function. You seem, I don't know, peaceful." I thought about her observation for a moment. "I wasn't always peaceful," I said honestly. "I spent years feeling angry and frustrated and invisible in my own home. But when you finally make the decision to choose yourself over a situation that's killing you slowly, there's a kind of peace that comes with that." We started seeing each other regularly after that night. Sophia appreciated the simple things that Diane had long since stopped noticing: a home-cooked meal on a Saturday evening, watching football together without having to defend my team choices, honest conversation about our lives and the choices that had brought us to this point in our 50s. She understood what it meant to start over after a marriage fell apart, to rebuild a life that had been derailed by circumstances that seemed beyond your control at the time. 6 months after I moved out of the house, Diane called me out of nowhere. It was the first time we'd spoken since the divorce papers were finalized and the lawyers had worked out the final details. "I've been seeing a therapist," she said without any small talk or pleasantries. "I've been working on understanding why I withdrew from you the way I did, why I couldn't give you what you needed." I listened as she explained about her own insecurities, her fear of intimacy after some issues from her past that she'd never told me about, her way of protecting herself from vulnerability by pushing me away before I could hurt her. It was enlightening in its way, and it explained a lot about the patterns that had developed between us over the years. "I'm sorry, Garrett," she said when she finished. "I'm sorry for all the ways I failed as a wife. You deserved so much better than what I was able to give you." "I appreciate you telling me this, Diane," I said, and I meant it. "I hope the therapy helps you find whatever you're looking for, I really do. But understanding why someone hurt you doesn't magically erase the hurt itself." Her explanations didn't change the years of rejection and loneliness, didn't give me back the time I'd spent wondering what was wrong with me. Sometimes the best thing you can do for everyone involved is simply accept that it's over and move on with grace. A year after leaving Diane, Sophia and I moved in together. We found a nice ranch house in a quiet neighborhood not far from where I'd lived before. Nothing fancy, but it felt like home in a way my marriage never had. The house had a big garage where I could work on electrical projects, and Sophia set up a home office for her design work. We talked about everything: our days, our plans for the weekend, the small irritations that inevitably come up when two people share a living space. When conflicts occurred, and they did occur because we're both human beings with opinions, we addressed them directly instead of letting them fester and poison the atmosphere. It was healthier, more mature, more in line with the kind of partnership I'd always hoped for but never experienced. Living with Sophia was nothing like the dead bedroom marriage I'd escaped. Where my relationship with Diane had been characterized by unspoken resentments and careful avoidance of anything that might cause conflict, this relationship was marked by openness and genuine affection. It wasn't perfect, no relationship ever is, but it was real and alive and growing stronger instead of slowly dying. On a warm evening in late spring, as we sat on our back deck watching the sunset and sharing a beer after a long day of work, Sophia asked me a question that made my heart skip a beat. "Have you ever thought about getting married again?" I considered the question carefully. The thought of marriage, of making those promises again after they'd been broken so thoroughly the first time, still scared me. But the thought of losing what Sophia and I had built together scared me even more. "I have," I said finally, "when the time feels right for both of us." She smiled, and in that smile, I saw our future unfolding. Not a predetermined path mapped out in advance, but a shared journey of discovery with someone who actually wanted to take that journey with me. I'm 59 now, and I can honestly say I'm happier than I've ever been in my adult life. Sophia and I got married last fall in a small ceremony at Colton's house in Cleveland. My nephews Owen and Maya served as ring bearers, and my electrician crew handled all the lighting for the reception that Brielle insisted we needed in the backyard. Sometimes I think back to that moment in the kitchen when I told Diane I'd sold our house. It was the scariest thing I'd ever done in my life, but it was also the best decision I ever made. Sometimes the path to real happiness leads through pain and uncertainty and the terrifying void of starting over when you thought your life was already settled. If you're reading this and you find yourself trapped in a dead bedroom marriage, feeling invisible in your own home, longing for a connection that seems permanently out of reach, I want you to know that there is another way forward. It won't be easy. It will require courage you may not know you possess. But on the other side of that fear is a life you can't yet imagine, full of possibilities you haven't discovered yet. I sold my house because I was tired of waiting around for love that was never going to come, and in doing so, I found a love I didn't even know was possible at my age. Sometimes what looks like an ending is really just the beginning wearing a disguise. Here's the insight that changed everything for me. Property ownership gave me leverage, but self-respect gave me the courage to use it. A working man's house isn't just where he sleeps. It's proof of everything he's built through hard work and sacrifice. When someone takes that for granted, when they treat your home like a hotel and you like the hired help, sometimes the strongest move you can make is reminding them who actually owns the deed.